Hello there, Talkin Fight fans, once again. Welcome to another exciting episode of The Scoop with the champ, Bola Ray. And he's got a very special guest lined up for us this evening, live in person, don't you? I'm sure you do.
Very much so, very much so. First and foremost, I want to thank Graham for once again upstaging me on his outfit and decor. If he just gave me a heads up, I can come with tails and bow tie too. But okay, that's fine. With that being said, today we're bringing on one of Canada's most prolific heavyweights, by my opinion, in recent years. Not only was he a force as an amateur, winning the Canadian title 5 times, and also winning multiple international tournaments, but Olympian, and then turned pro. Went with an astounding 27-2 record, winning. Well, he was at one point in time 27-0. He's a dear friend of mine. He's actually responsible for a little bit of my evolution in the sport, which I'm sure he has absolutely no idea what the hell I'm talking about, but I'll explain later. My name is Bola Raymond Olubuwale, and this is The Scoop. Today, we have the pleasure of showcasing a Canadian treasure by the name of Jean-Francois Bergeron. How are you, my friend?
How's it going?
Very well, sir. Very, very well, sir. Good. How is life treating you through this whole COVID nonsense?
I honestly, I'm privileged. I can't complain because I still have my job as a firefighter, and it forced me to live like everybody else, a more simple life.
Okay.
So you end up I'm cooking at home instead of eating out of restaurants. So eating better. I'm doing alpine skiing, walking a lot. I do in French we say la raquette. When you walk on the snow.
Oh, snowshoeing.
Yeah, exactly. I'm doing that. They're right next to my home, and so I'm being busy, and I got the privilege of going to work and working with a team that's amazing. So I can't complain. I mean, I know it's been difficult for a lot of people, and that's why we try to obey the laws to make sure this fucking thing goes away as fast as possible.
Well, once again, thank you for being a first responder and helping us through this pandemic and putting yourself at unbelievable peril, unbelievable risk, dealing with people firsthand who may be infected. So, once again, thank you. How did you start in boxing?
I started I started boxing really. I boxed when I was about 10 years old, but I trained for about a month or two. My father used to box, and he boxed when. That's why I went to train. I think I was about 11. Trained for about a month or two, and he was also training, and I ended up seeing him make a comeback. He had about 40, 50 amateur fights.
Oh,
and he was 35 years old, and he made a comeback, and I was about 10, and it really impressed me. And but the year after, the gym kind of went away, and that was it. My father wasn't training there anymore. There was no gym in my hometown, and I kind of started having interest in that. 13, 14, it was the times that Mike Tyson was coming, was brand new thing, and it was huge, and I kind of developed that taste of boxing, that desire to do boxing, even though I wasn't a kid that was I would never get into fights, and I was kind of scared of getting into fights, and I didn't have a mean streak in me.
Yeah.
I was totally the opposite of most of the boxers, and when I was 17, when the '88 Olympics were on display in Seoul, and Lennox Lewis was end up winning the gold medal there. I don't know why. There's a thought that crossed my mind. I think I could go to the Olympics. I wanted to go to the Olympics, even though I'd never been into a fight. And 2 years after, my father started went back to training just for getting in shape with one of his friends, and I told him, "I'm going with you. There's no way I'm not. No way you're not taking me to boxing." And he was surprised, and I ended up being pretty good. And soon, because I was 17, it was not usually when they're in the 16, 17 years old. There's not many heavyweights. I was already 6'5", and I was 200 pounds. So automatic. There was a place in super heavyweight. I went there. I won the nationals, and that's it. That's when it started. So I had my first fight in January of '91, and a little bit less than 2 years, in December of '92, I was Canadian heavyweight champion senior.
Wow.
That was right. I have to say that I wouldn't have been Canadian champion if Kirk Johnson would have stayed in the amateurs. He just came back from the Olympics, and that was the thing. We were going there for experience, and they didn't know if Yvon Michel was my coach, and he said, "We'll see if the guys if Gillespie or Kurt Johnson are there. If they're there, I don't know if we're going to make you fight, because obviously I had about 23 fights or something like that."
Yeah.
So, and they ended up not being there, but not boxing, because they were turning pros, and that kind of left the door open. I was still not a favorite. Nobody expected me to win, but I ended up fighting really good and won, and I was national champion.
And that was at heavyweight.
Yeah, I was 91.
So that's the year that Gary Goodridge was super heavyweight.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. We actually did it one trip together in Florida, Fort Lauderdale, on February of '93. We went this Canada USA match, dual match, and he fought a guy there, David Bostis, who turned out to be a good pro, and that's when I met him. Yeah, he was a big guy. He was a big guy.
He was a big guy.
Yeah.
He was my sparring partner for a little while.
Yeah.
Wow.
He was beginning. He wasn't an experienced boxer at that time. He was, but because Tom Gillespie wasn't there wasn't
anybody to stop him. Yeah.
Yeah, he won. He won one or two fights. One fight, I think, but he fought good. But he didn't have the experience to go overseas afterwards. And
no, he won the Canadian title with 5 fights.
Exactly, something like that. Yeah, for sure. It was a mountain.
Wow.
Remember, he stopped the guy. He stopped this guy. He was in PEI, and everybody was like really impressed. It wasn't technical or anything. It was an entertaining fight.
That's amazing. And then once you made the national squad, now you got to tour the world, and you amassed like quite a few international goals.
Yeah, I think I won like 3, 4, or 5 international tournament.
Wow.
The gold. I won silver at the Pan Ams, which made me really happy, because Lennox Lewis was always one of my favorite boxers, heavyweights, and he won the silver medal at the Pan Am Games. So I was I was happy to be included in the same category, if I can say.
Yeah, you were in good company.
Yeah, and I did many tournaments, worlds, and traveled the world. It was pretty good experience. And it's when met some amazing guys that I still see today, and we still get in contact. Claude Lambert, Mike Strange. We went to see Mike Strange, me and Claude, this summer in Niagara Falls. He took us out, and he's an amazing guy.
He really is.
Went three Olympics.
Yeah.
Got robbed in '96, big time.
Did he?
Yeah. Oh, fuck yeah. Yeah. Let's not go there. But he should have won at least a bronze.
Wow.
But he's an amazing guy. He was pretty much our leader in during those years. A charismatic guy.
Yeah.
A guy that was really talented, but a guy that could make a joke right before his fight, and he's in the dressing room, and he makes everybody laugh.
Yeah.
And then seconds afterwards, he's doing bad and he's concentrated, like he's in the fight. I mean, I learned a lot from watching him.
Wow. Do you find something I noticed is that sociologically, you have people thinking, or people deem boxers to be successful. If you hear that someone's a boxer, they think that you're some angry, like psychotic nut who just needs to fight, needs to punch people out, always in a bad mood. When actually, boxers, actually the really good ones, are some of the nicest guys you'll ever meet. Like, don't have this appetite for violence like people would think. Like you have Mike Strange, who should be a choir boy, Meanwhile, he's actually one of the best Canada's ever produced.
I think you have nothing to prove in that regards. I mean, you train. It didn't happen many times, but the few times that somebody wanted to mess around with me is like, man, I'm doing that. Like, it's my full-time job.
Yeah.
Doing that every day. I'm punching people and seeing guys punch me, trying to punch me every day. I don't need that. I don't want that. Yeah. It's like would I dare Sidney Crosby to pass over me? I'm gonna stop you. That's people.
Like, I totally get it. Like, at the end of the day, for me, I was doing nightclub security for a very long time. And with that being said, even as a pro, I would be sitting there and people would look at me like very seldomly people want to start a fight with me just because of my physique. They think that I don't want no problems. Fine. But the occasional one wants to prove something. And then I think to myself, how much is this going to cost? How much am I going to make from this fight? Because I get paid.
Yeah.
I get paid to fight. How much are you going to pay me to fight?
Yeah, for sure.
And once you put in that perspective, it really is pointless. Now, I take nothing away from somebody who wants to go off and needs to defend himself if they do, but
the thing is you're probably going to have to end up paying the guy because you hurt him. I mean, the guy wants to mess with you. Even if you tell him, I'm not a boxer, don't mess with me. If you punch him, you're going to get in trouble.
Yeah.
I'd try to stay away from trouble.
And that's the thing that I try to explain to so many young kids is it's really not worth it. Yeah, you think you're going to get something. You're not getting anything. It doesn't do anything for your street cred. If you're not getting paid for it, it makes absolutely no sense.
Yeah, for sure.
Positively, unequivocally. So how was your experience of the 96 Olympics?
It's always special for me to explain that because in a way it was amazing, but because it went so badly, it was like a nightmare. So
yeah,
I people never really want to hear that. They want to hear, it was amazing, this and that, and it was in the sense when we walked in the stadium, we were staying at the best part of it is we were staying at the old stadium, the Braves Stadium, and they had the Olympic Stadium right next to it. So we're waiting there for a while, and when it was time to Canada to go in, they had a hill where you'd walk right on the top of the new Olympic Stadium.
Okay.
And this was the most amazing moment, because when you get there, and as soon as you step like that, and you see, remember, you're on the top of the Olympic Stadium, and you see all the cameras going. You see about 80, 90, 100,000 people.
Wow.
It was amazing. You know, that's the moment you tell yourself, wow, I made it. You know, I trained for 6, 7 years, and all the hard work pays off, you know. And it was amazing, and especially because right in the center of the stadium, when we were waiting and the torch was being passed on, from the floor came up Evander Holyfield at the level of the field. So we saw him right next to us, and he had a corridor, and we were outside, and he was running with the flame up until the stands, which he passed the torch to Janet Evans, the American swimmer, the multi-gold medalist, and she went up there. She and who did she give it to light up the flame? Muhammad Ali. So being a boxer, I mean, you can't not have goosebumps. That was amazing. It really was amazing. And that's the amazing part. But the rest was because my fight didn't happen. You know, it really didn't go well, and I think for a year before that, every night I was going to sleep and I imagined winning a medal. You know, most of the time was a gold medal.
You were ranked number 2 going into that tournament.
Yeah, I was ranked fairly high, and I ended up fighting a guy that I've beaten before. That I stopped actually, and I was extremely nervous. I can say I had problems with pressure. I kind of choked. I didn't know how to deal with that. It was difficult. It wasn't really in the time where sports psychologists were there. You know, they were starting, but boxing. You know, boxing's always had a old-minded mentality, and it was in the beginning. And God, I would have needed somebody to just take the pressure away from me and just tell me, well, just have fun, you know. And of all the scenarios that I imagined, that was the worst. It really was the worst. And to be honest, it turned out it helped me a lot at the, you know, because I had to go through that, and it made me understand so many things. But if somebody would have told me, like, let's say a day before the fight, well, this is what's going to happen. Your Olympic dream is going to end in 1 minute. I mean, whatever you do, you cannot change that. Well, if somebody would have told me that, I would have put myself a lot less pressure, and I would have enjoyed myself more. And I'm pretty sure that I would have boxed way better than I did. So it kind of helped me out in the psychology of you know, fighting, psychology of it actually helped me out a lot when I became a coach. Because when I became a coach, and I realized that I was also there to make sure boxers were not going to live what I live.
Precisely.
So I mean, there's a video of Steve Jobs doing a speech at Stanford University when he said connecting the dots. And when he says that, he means when he did something in the 70s which made no sense to anybody, even him, but he was drawn to that. Well, 10, 12 years later, ended up he used that in
Yeah.
making the Macintosh computer.
Yes.
So that classes ended up not changing the world, but influencing the world. So that connecting the dot, when I became a coach, I realized, oh, that's why I went through all that shit in my boxing career. So I was able to bring to other boxers or young boxers knowledge and things like that. So that's why my when I explain my Olympic experience, it's kind of bittersweet in the sense that I cannot say I had fun during those times, because when I was there, I had fun before. I had fun at the opening ceremonies, but between that, after that, and my fight, it was I can't say I had a lot of fun, because the pressure got to me. It was so big, and I didn't know how to deal with that. And people have no idea how huge this is. I mean,
that's huge, because at the end of the day, and the very fact that you're now a coach and you can actually influence and educate the next generation, this is called the evolution of the sport. This is how the sport evolves. You experience something that the layman will never experience, will never know. And now you take that experience and you're giving it and you're imparting it on the next generation.
Yeah.
That's the evolution of the sport. And I find it interesting. First and foremost, do you know when we could have met for the first time? We could have. We didn't. Thank God.
In a boxing ring?
In a boxing ring.
I think there was talk sometimes, but
I had 4 fights. 4 fights. And I was called. My coach got a call, I guess from Yvonne, offering us a flight to Quebec to fight you on a card. I'm like, is this how boxing works? My 4th fight or 5th fight. Yeah, this is how it works. I don't think I'm ready to fight some national champion, eh?
Was it like in 94, 2004 or something like that?
No. This is amateur.
Oh, okay.
Amateur. This was before the 96 Olympics.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
Yeah. Actually, it was before the 95 Nationals. Just before the 95 Nationals. Or 96. It was in 96, but you know what I mean?
Yeah. The one that was in Brampton?
That was in Brampton. Just before that.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Okay, I thought it. Yeah, okay. I ended up fighting Patrice Leroux at that fight. It was a pro-am fight where Stéphane Ouellet and Eric Licard were fighting. It was about a week before Nationals. Is that
precisely
like that?
Yeah. They asked me to come fight, and I'm like, I'm fighting a national team member.
Nah.
Yeah, but think about it. You knock him out, you're going to the Olympics. Yeah, about that. Easier said than done, right? Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I was on fire at that time. I was really on a roll.
Oh God.
Yeah.
And I could barely spell boxing. No.
You were big though. You could hit.
That's all. Yeah. Wow. So another thing that intrigues me about your comment is the fact that, and so many guys that I've been talking to, like we're talking Gallinger. I actually Gallinger a lot because we fought 3 times.
Yeah.
And in talking to Gallinger, he was actually nervous fighting me. And I'm like, you never know it.
You're a big guy. Yeah.
Mind you, I didn't realize the size difference between the 2 of us. Because he said the first time we fought, he was only 202 pounds.
Yeah, he wasn't a really big guy. Yeah.
No, he wasn't. He was barely a super heavyweight.
Yeah. And
I was, I think, 260, 255. I was like, wow, you're a brave man. But
Steve Gallinger, I haven't heard that name in a while. You know that guy beat me twice?
Did he really?
Yeah. I never got my revenge. I wanted to fight him at the Nationals, but he ended up losing to Blake Stevenson. So I didn't get to fight him in the final. But,
Wow.
yeah. We were when I first started in 2091 or 90 or 91 when I was in the intermediate national team.
Yeah.
He was light heavyweight, and I was the super heavyweight at that time, and and we ended up fighting a bit afterwards. So we kind of had a little bit of rivalry because we kind of knew we were gonna fight each other.
Yeah.
And, he beat me at the Brampton Cup. I was 18, and he beat me at the box house for the Commonwealth Games. And
94.
yeah, 94. Yeah.
Oh, he went. You didn't go to the Commonwealth.
No. I lost that year. That wasn't a good year. That's my second year at the Nationals. I lost to Willard Lewis in the Nationals. And when I went to the box office, I ended up I beat on the first day. I beat Mark Simmons, close fight, and everybody was telling me because Mark had just beaten Gallinger at the Ontario's.
He beat
the provincials. Yeah, and so I beat Mark Simmons, and I ended up fighting Gallinger in the finals, and I had a hard time with his style. He wasn't committing. We were kind of both counterpunchers.
Yeah.
And I didn't know well how to go forward at that time. And he beat me. He beat me a second time. It pissed me off. And he went to the Commonwealth Games, and I was sparring with him in training camp in Lodgepole right before the Commonwealth Games, and I was pissed, and I was going hard at him because obviously he was going, and I wasn't. I was a bit frustrated.
Yeah.
It turned out I went back home, and I looked at the guys and during the opening ceremonies, and I was at friends at a party, one of my friends, and I was looking at that, and I was depressed, and I ended up walking somewhere by myself in the park. I almost had tears in my eyes, and I told myself, well, I'm not gonna watch the Olympics from my couch.
Yeah.
It ended up being a good thing because I worked my ass off to get better and to go back on the team, which I did, and the rest is history.
That year.
Yeah.
Okay, so in that Olympic year, who did Steve lose to? Because I fought Steve. So instead of fighting you for my fourth fight, I fought my fourth fight against Kevin Anderson, and then I fought Steve. The first time I ever met Steve was my sixth fight, and I lost. Steve ended up fighting one more fight and then went to the Nationals. He didn't go to the Olympics that year.
No, he fought Blake Stevenson, and he got knocked out cold. And I don't know if he had a fight before that. It was the semifinals. I had one fight prior to that, and we're in the semifinal. I was fighting Patrice Leroux again, like twice in 1 week, and he was fighting Blake Stevenson, and I think he was winning the fight. I wasn't really watching because I was warming up, and he got caught with, I think, a big right hand, and he was knocked out, and I ended up it changed. I would have liked to fight Steve. There was, because he beat me twice. It was a challenge. I kind of wanted to get the revenge, and there was little butterflies because I knew his style was. But I improved a lot because I spent 2 years on national team, international competition.
Okay.
So I'm pretty sure I was gonna beat him, but I would have liked to do it. But as soon as the fight was over with him, and it turned out I was fighting Blake Stevenson, then change your
mindset,
and I go with this guy, and after that, I was almost the one that represent Canada in the box office.
Amazing. Well, that's right. And there was a box. No, not that year. That was 2000. I fought him in the box office too. But interesting. You then went on into an amazing pro career, like a highly successful pro career. And then, again, we were supposed to fight. But this is, I guess, not 2004. It was later than that.
Later, I think.
Yeah, because I turned pro in 2004 when I couldn't go to the Olympics.
2005, 2006, maybe.
Maybe 2006.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I was in school at that time.
Yeah. This was right at the end of your career, and I think you were injured.
Well, I was injured most of my career.
Oh.
So you have to be more specific. But I had many surgery. When I turned pro in '98, I had my first fight in April 3rd or something like that, and fought at the end of April and the beginning of May. So I had like 3 fights in about 3 weeks, and then I was supposed to fight in June. End of May, New York. The guy doesn't pass the medical. I was supposed to fight in June, and I end up having a appendix.
Oh,
Appendix burst.
Wow.
So I was supposed to fight, and because sometimes I had trouble with my stomach.
Yeah.
So it would phase me. I couldn't do nothing for about a day, and then it would just go away. And for that fight, I was struggling with that. I was, in my mind, you want to fight, the boxing mindset. I'll do the medical, and I'll get better. I'll be better in this and that. And I went back. I passed the medical, which doesn't tell you much about medical.
Medicals, yeah.
And so I go back home, and then I feel burst. I fall on the floor. It's so painful, but I don't know what it is. I just stopped moving. I'm kind of turning green.
Wow.
I went to see the doctor 24 hours. I went to see the doctor the next morning.
The next morning after your appendix burst?
Yeah. I went to a clinic, and she told me, well, you're kind of green. I mean, if you don't feel all that good, go to the hospital. And I'm in amazing shape, so that's why I'm able to. But I wasn't doing much while I wasn't moving. I was okay, and so at the end of the day, about 24 hours after it burst, I go to the hospital, and I'm not doing well. I mean, my ex-girlfriend, she drives me, and by the time she parks the car, I'm starting to get dizzy. She arrives with the wheelchair, and they put me in the emergency room. So they don't know what I have, because my appendix is not on my right side. It's in the middle under my belly, but they don't know that. I know what the appendix it's on the right side. So I never thought it was an appendix.
Wow.
So it turns out that 48 hours after it burst, they said, okay, we don't know what he has. It's been 24 hours. He has the salute. And he hasn't been moving, so we'll put him under, and we'll see what he has. And as soon as they put me under, they touch my belly, and they know right away what it is. So they go see my family, and they say, okay, he has the appendix that burst, and we're gonna operate him right away. So yeah, that kind of that was my 3rd month after being a pro. So I lost about 25 pounds. I was skinny as hell, and it took me a while to come back. And then I come back, I do fight, but I injured one of my elbow.
Wow.
Bone chip, so I have another operation, and then I had about 3 operations about a year and a half, which it totally screwed up my career, screwed up my timing, screwed everything up.
Yeah.
And I ended up about 2 years after turning pro, trying to get back in shape with all that I lost. So I'm basically in the gym, and pretty much everybody beats me up. And it's frustrating, because I'm so much better than most of those guys, but I can't get the timing, and it was tough, man. It was tough. I mean, I thought about quitting many times, and there was one thing that I remember, that right before I had my appendix, I went to train for about a week in New York at the Gleasons. I ended up sparring with Oleg Maskaev.
Oh yeah,
And Maskaev went on to become a world champion.
exactly.
And I did really good against him. And whenever I felt like shit because of shitty sparring session, I thought about that. Fuck, if I was able to be at that level
You can get
once,
there again.
I'll be able to get back.
Yeah.
It took a long time and a lot of pain, but yeah, that's those are the moments, and whatever. Well, obviously I don't really think about that many times. You know, I haven't thought about that. I haven't talked about that in many times, but those are the main things that I'm proud of. I mean, whatever the accomplishment you did in the ring, whatever the either success that you may have, I mean, those are the moments that I'm the most proud. I mean, because those are the moments I could have shift and I could have decided to quit and do something else with my life.
By all means.
And it would have been way easier of a life than having this life of a professional boxer with all the downs that you get, because you got more downs than you got ups. I mean, we're a bit crazy to do this. We gotta be a bit crazy. That's wow. Now that I have a normal job and get paid every week and don't have, you know, if you miss a little, you know, if you miss this and that here and there, it doesn't matter. But in boxing, if you don't miss the punch, you get knocked out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's an interesting way to make a living.
It really is.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's something. We're doing this for a reason. We're always doing this for a reason. And once you figure that out, and then you can go on and do something else.
Yeah.
That's the way. That's the way it's been for me. You know?
I think it's the ability to take boxing to the level that we do is character building. It definitely defines you. Look at the challenges that you had to overcome to get to where you wanted to get to. Like you said, it could have been so much easier if you just quit, but you're not a quitter.
Yeah.
And there you have it.
Yeah. There's it's funny because this weekend they had a series of articles in Journal de Montréal about former boxers and what they're doing now. And one of the guys that was on that paper, you know, because we've heard about the sad stories. I mean, boxing is full of afterlife sad stories. I mean, it's mostly that. Well, it used to be mostly that.
Yeah.
And it was good to see some good things, you know. And whenever I was coaching, I was always trying to preach to the kids. I mean, think about something else, you know. Set something up. I mean, it doesn't mean don't put 100% in what you do. It just means think about something else. And one of the things that we do as Basha, we have a lot of determination and we're I don't know if not resentful, but I'm not sure what the word, but I mean, we try, you know, we try because we want to succeed. And we sometimes don't do that in other things in our life. I mean, I don't want to go to school and I'm not a guy for school, this and that, or, you know.
Yeah.
And I realized going back to school, you just have to just keep at it. I mean, you may not become I was never a great student. I mean, I never had A's. I was okay, but I wasn't working hard at it because I didn't like it. But when I went back when I was about 31 years old, obviously the firefighting school is different. It's more physical, and it's more into what I do. But when we have to go to the cégep, 2 years of prevention, which you did classes that were not only for firemen, and it was difficult. And I went to the cégep before when I started boxing, but I wasn't doing anything when I was 17. I was in my head, in my dream, doing something, but I wasn't doing my homework. I wasn't studying. When I went back, I realized, okay, I was lazy, when I was young. I wasn't doing what I should have done. And when you're 30 years old and you're chasing a dream that you realize is mostly smoke, in the sense that there's not a pro boxer that thinks he's not going to be a millionaire and a world champion. I mean, you need that. You need that. But somewhere in the line, you got to realize, oh, okay. If that was my thing. I was about 30 years old, and we didn't know what the pro boxing was going to be in Montreal, because Interbox was going to be bankrupt, and then we didn't know exactly what was happening. And I was like, wow, I live in my my 1-bedroom apartment, and am I going to be there at 35, wishing for
a big payday?
For big payday. And I realized, well, I better work on something else. And I was lucky, and I wouldn't say I was lucky, but I worked to do the both of them together. And for 3 years, it was not easy, but it was just what I had to do.
Yeah.
And when you're doing it, you don't know if it's going to work out or not. What did I know about being a firefighter when I was a boxer? I mean, I didn't know all that much. I got in there. I did what I did with boxing. I worked, and I tried to split. And I was never the same boxer afterwards, because I wasn't doing that 100%.
Okay.
But I was able to manage both of them. Today, if you ask me, I don't know how I did it. I could not do that now, obviously, because I'm 47 years old. But I mean, having the life that I have now, I mean, it was a crazy life, but it got me to where I am today. So that's why I used to tell all the kids that were wanting to be a professional. Well, that's great, man. That's amazing. Go.
Chase your dream.
Go, but be aware and prepare yourself to whatever happens, because you have your career is just a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
Your life is this amount of time.
Yeah.
And you want to enjoy your life. You want it so that you can enjoy the years that you spend in boxing, and they don't become the reason why you lost everything. Why you? Yeah, it's a cruel sport. It
can be.
It's a business. It can be. It can be. It's amazing though. It's an amazing. I don't want to sound. Maybe I do sound a bit negative about it, but
no,
it's reality. But
that's exactly it.
I mean, boxing is about fighting yourself. I mean, you're fighting another guy, but you're mostly fighting yourself. You're mostly fighting against yourself.
You're fighting your fears.
Exactly.
Right. You're fighting against your inhibitions. You're pushing yourself to limits that stereotypically people don't push themselves towards. A punch is coming at you, and you're not running away.
It's a bit crazy, yeah.
Right? Right?
Yeah, true.
Oh, yeah.
That's true, man. That's true. Yeah.
You're after boxing, after being an athlete, your life, you put some of it towards coaching.
Yeah, well, life is life is funny because when I realized I had my last fight in 2008,
Yeah.
October 2008, and I wanted to get a Canadian title fight because I never got to fight for the Canadian title, and I tried to get that, and I wasn't able to get it. And 2010, I go to the Hall of Fame with a few guys, Lucien Boutet and the guy from Innerbox. And after that, I come back and I realized, okay, I'm not. I don't want to. I'm not ready to die anymore in the ring. Not that I always thought about. I want to die in the ring, but you never think about the consequences. There's nothing more important than winning. There's you don't think in terms the training. You don't think in terms of sacrifices. It has to be done.
Yeah,
You
exactly.
don't question it.
Exactly.
And I realized, okay, I'm not ready to die in the ring. Those are heavy sacrifices that I'm asking for, and so I decide. I stop. I spend a week. I spend a month or two to think about it, and I realize I know I don't want to fight anymore. I'm done. And about a month afterwards, I get a call, and we get a call that we're being offered a fight for the Canadian title for about 20 grand.
Against who?
Pashkik, Nevin Pashkik.
Oh, Nevin Pajic.
Yeah, Pashkik, yeah.
Oh.
And I'm not training, But at that time, I was beginning. I was beginning as a firefighter, so that 20 grand I needed it, but there was no hesitation. I didn't take the fight.
Yeah.
Because I was done. Maybe I could beat that guy not being in shape. Obviously, think I would have beaten if I was in shape, but
yeah.
I knew that wasn't the right thing to do. So that confirmed the fact that I wanted to retire. And then I started thinking to myself, okay, I need a second job because I'm used to first firemen. We got a lot of time out because we do long shifts. So I need to occupy myself. I need to do something, make a bit of money. And I think about taking class in massage therapist. Because obviously, as an athlete, you've had a lot of massages, and you kind of know a bit, a thing or two. So I'm thinking about that, and I thought about that for a few weeks, and called the place where I was going to be doing the class, and try to set up my schedule and everything. And then I realized, well, it's going to be a pretty hectic schedule, so I'm going to at least take a year, just do something else, and or just do nothing. And the week after, I go to a golf tournament with Benoit Gaudette and Pierre Bouchard, that used to be my coach. And Benoit Gaudette was trained by Stéphane Larouche. But Stéphane Larouche was training Lucien Boutet in Florida mostly at that time in training camps. So Benoit Gaudette was almost never training with Stéphane. And he thought, he was saying that it's difficult. He arrives maybe a week before training camp. We do a little bit of this and that, but it was difficult for him. So I asked him, well, Ben, I could come to the gym maybe 2 times a week if you want. I could help you out, but I that's about all that I wanted to do. Not much, But boxing was boxing. I went in there, and obviously, it kind of feel like a fish in the water, and it went well, and I kind of ended up being his coach, and and he had his first fight, and actually my first fight with a fighter as a head coach was at Bell Center, which was pretty good.
You gotta be kidding me.
Yeah. And he was fighting a southpaw too, so I had all the tricks to show him, and
There you
ended
go.
up winning by knockout, and it went well. So it was the first. So it started as a part-time job. It ended up being a full-time job, and so that's why I became a coach, and from then on, work with that guy, this and that, and until last year, and now I'm out since last year, and I don't think I'll be coming back anymore.
We'll see.
I said that the first time I stopped in 2016, so maybe I shouldn't say it, but
Well,
it was an amazing experience.
thank you so much for coming on board. This has been great.
My pleasure.
It's not every day that we get to see boxing from an elite athlete's point of view like yours. Like you brought a lot to the sport, a lot to young athletes, either looking up to you or even coaching. So at the end of the day, we thank you. Thank you a lot. I thank you. I think I remember talking to you. Remember when we were in Quebec City and we were talking, and I just lost that fight to Eric Martel, and you had seen it, and I was like, I didn't lose that fight. I got caught with a shot, a bad shot, but you said something that really stuck with me. In that you said, when he was throwing all these punches, why didn't you take a step back? And I didn't have an answer for you because I was never taught to take a step back. You had to have stones. Cowards take a step back. I'm like, no, you don't. You can take a step back. There's nothing wrong with taking a step back. And at the end of the day, I now have designed my whole boxing game on footwork, which is something I've asked coaches my whole career and never got. So I thank you because you were the catalyst for all of that. And watching the next time, I'm still fighting and I'm older than you.
You're in better shape than that.
Keep that in mind. So
that's cool. That's cool. Hey, I just want to say something. I read on my one of my Facebook friends, I think it's Jason Hayward, who used to fight in from Nova Scotia. And he advertised something about there's going to be a documentary about Lennox Lewis. It's going to be coming out soon with some things about him, an amateur fight when he was 15. It says against Mike Tyson, but I doubt it.
No.
He didn't fight him. But I mean, have you heard something about it?
No, I haven't heard about the documentary, but I know the story between Mike and Lennox.
I know they sparred together. That's the story I heard.
That's all they've done. They didn't fight as amateurs.
Because I think he might have mistaken. I know he fought Donovan Ruddock when he was 15 and Ruddock was like 16 or 17. I know they fought as amateurs once.
Well, I didn't know that.
I listened to one of his fights earlier and last few weeks ago, and they were saying that they had fought together.
Oh, okay.
When they were younger. It's probably the fight that we're talking about. But I mean, I would have liked to have the sparring sessions, the videos of Mike Tyson sparring in Lennox at that time.
Arnie Beam, Lennox's coach, sat me down and explained and told me the story about how Lennox had just won the junior worlds championships, and the Americans were saying how they're like pretty much saying don't feel like you accomplished something because we didn't send our best. There's two guys who are better than us, but the thing is they don't like to fly, and that was Riddick Bowe and Mike Tyson. So he came back home, and Arnie set up a sparring session with Mike. So he came down, and apparently the first day they are there, They're hanging out like they were brothers. They're best of friends. They hung out. Tyson went and showed Lennox his pigeons. All was great. And then the day came when they started sparring. He thought it was going to be casual. And Mike ran across that ring and tried to tear his heart out.
It was an animal, huh?
He was just turned into an absolute animal, like a completely different beast. And apparently, by the end of the training sessions, or sparring sessions, Lennox was holding his own. He was actually getting better than Mike. So he said he knew how to take care of him. So, and yeah, that was it.
Lennox was always a smart guy.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. Lennox Lewis, The Untold Story. One of the pearls of the documentary footage is a junior bout between Lennox at 15 years old Mike Tyson.
I did. I initially, when I read that, I said that's a mistake. And I've never heard that they fought. Well, it wasn't a fight. Maybe they have a. Maybe did somebody film?
I never heard of them fighting either. I knew they sparred. I didn't know that they ever fought.
No.
As an amateurs, that is.
Yeah.
We'll
That's
see.
going to be interesting. Interesting. Lennox is an amazing ambassador for boxing. I mean, he's well-spoken, smart, and he's done.
And
he manages money.
He didn't make any international incidences. Get himself in trouble.
Exactly.
Any problem with drugs, anything like that. He was just a clean-cut guy.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah. Straight and narrow.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But JF,
yeah.
Again, thank you very much for coming on board.
My pleasure. Anytime, guys.
Yeah, we'd love to have you again back on one of these channels. So,
okay. Cool.
Take care. Have a good
Bye,
one.
guys.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
And that is the legendary Jean-Francois Bergeron. He's a good guy.
Wow, that was a pretty deep history.
Yeah. But with that, I'd like to say, if you like this interview, please smash the like button and subscribe. It's your boy Bola, and that's the scoop.
Thank you. We'll see you tomorrow night.